Hey, I'm Jazz. Let's talk about should stories. This is the idea that your past is not a script for your future. And yet, many of us will upgrade our phone, but we don't upgrade the stories that we've been carrying since they were younger. Your should stories can be anything around what you were told when you were a child, what toys you were given, what gender you are, what social economic background you are, where you live in the world, what faith you follow, your early life experiences, any education that you went under, what you were taught about failure, and what were the unwritten rules in your family about what you're supposed to do to be a good girl. One of my should stories, because I spent time growing up with my nan, was little girls should be seen and not heard. Which I always thought was like, I've got a big gob. How do I do that? I was told to laugh quietly. Ha! That's never going to happen. I was looking at my brother and thinking, he gets a lot more freedom than I get. I always felt so much shame. Always felt so much shame growing up because I wasn't the girl. And that's the thing, isn't it? I'm becoming the woman I was designed to be, not the woman the world said I should be, because that woman is supposed to be, thin and gorgeous and wear makeup and be attractive, but not too attractive, and have everything, but not be exhausted, and navigate periods and motherhood and menopause and not moan about it. That's not me. This is me. I'm Marmite. You can lick me or jog on. But that has taken years to get to. That idea that, you don't find what I'm saying appealing. Other sausages are available. You don't have to buy these sausages. That's taken so long. And, what if that was something that we worked out when we were at school, when we were teenagers? So we didn't have to wait until our 40s to start unpicking all these should stories. It could be that parents do this. I do this as a parent because you're passing on things down like rubbish family heirlooms that nobody wants. So it's things like, you're not the academic one, that's your brother, you're going to be the creative one. That's not your story. That's not your story. The story about things you were told, even the way we describe or we are described. So in school we use words like from a disadvantaged community. And I'm like, what do you call the kids that aren't disadvantaged? I've had two classic answers to this. One was, we call them the non-disadvantaged. I'm like, do you? Because that's not a word. And the second one was a CEO, and he looked totally blazed, and he went, we just call them the normal ones. And I'm like, well, here lies the rub. So I don't use any words to describe kids when I was teaching that I wouldn't be prepared to print on a T-shirt and make them wear. And I'm not going to make Samir wear a T-shirt that says vulnerable and disadvantaged. So I don't use those words. Disadvantaged, actually, a better word is under-resourced community, because that's not so passive-aggressive and it's not fault, shame, based. So I come from an under-resourced community. That doesn't mean that that's who I am and that's who I'm going to be. That's where I started. And it's this idea of rebranding those stories, rebranding failure, even rebranding the things that didn't work or haven't worked into a story that enables you to change. Because little girls should be seen and not heard is just keeping you trapped in. You're going to be the academic one. It's just not giving you any wiggle room to be the person you were designed to be. And that is your job. To be the human you were designed to be, and not the human that the world says you should be, because this is who you are, this is what you look like, this is how you grew up, this is who you... Our one responsibility, the one thing we are literally designed for, is to learn. So if we're staying in our lane and staying with those old stories, it's a half-fat life. You should be your full-fat self. And that means finding out what your own stories are, because, listen, the pen is in your hand. And if you don't like the way chapter 42 or 27 or whatever your age you are, if you don't like the way that chapter's going, then you can write a new chapter. You don't have to live this life where you're not being 10% braver. I'll finish with this when it comes to should stories. Bronnie Ware, palliative care nurse in Australia. She worked with 12 years, spent working with people at the end of their life. She wrote a book called The 5 Regrets of the Dying. And this book is beautiful. And there are different things on the list of this 5 regrets. She asked everyone, it's like spending enough time with your family and friends, worrying about work. But the top one was something along the lines of, I wish I'd had the courage to be myself. And I find that heartbreaking. People at the end of their life, experts saying, I wish I'd had the courage to be myself. And that's what we do. We live as if we've got spare lives hanging up in the wardrobe. This is it. This is it. So my question to you with your should stories, are you ready to let go of them yet? Because what could your life look like if you were just 10% braver? And that's not, for some people, it could be raising their hand in a meeting. For others, it could be, starting a revolution. For some of us, it's leaving a toxic relationship that you know is hurting you. You don't have to be the bravest person in the world to rebrand your should stories. You just have to be ready to take the first step. Should stories. What are yours? Tell me what yours are. I'd love to hear. I always do this in talks. I'm like, what are your should stories? My favourite ones I've had. One woman said, I've got a should story. Should have married a man. And I'm like, yeah, that's obviously that's a true story, because every woman who's ever married a man, that's worked out brilliantly, hasn't it? So the should stories don't even make sense, right? When you start unpicking them, it's like, why am I subscribing to this incredibly ridiculous way of living? It's out of self-preservation and fear. So when I started teaching, my mentors would say, don't smile until Christmas. And it's this idea that you start in September and you don't show any personality or humanity or compassion until Christmas, because you've got to rule them with an iron rod. Well, that is said to try and protect me, because teaching is hard work and you are going to cry, right? It's about people, it's about relationships. It starts with our relationship. But it's a stupid thing to say. It's like, well, how does you being like, hard-faced help you? It doesn't help, but it protects you. It means that you don't get involved or connected, you don't get hurt. So self-preservation is the gatekeeper and the key holder to unlocking your should stories. 10% braver.